Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for October 9th through 16th, 2023. Well, here we are in this epic astrology of October 2023. How are you doing? It is eclipse season. We are moving into our first eclipse. The eclipse season starts at the lunation before, so that Aries full moon moving us right into this energy. And also, we're having a culmination of astrology of the last 4 or 5 months of energies. So it is intense and powerful. So let's talk it through. This new moon solar eclipse coming up on Saturday, October 14th, in most of the world, um, happening at 21 degrees 8 minutes of Libra. So we've got this 21, 12 in numerology, the 1, 2, and the 1 and the 2 add up to 3. Again, speaking to movement, action, go time. We've been waiting and waiting for our personal planets to come out of retrograde, and now we have Mercury moved into the sign of Libra after that long journey in his home sign of Virgo, trying to get some clarity, some understanding of what it is we need to do to clean up this mess. And also Venus on retrograde. And these all started, Venus retrograde started, Venus turned at the end of July. And that's also when Mercury moved into Virgo. So this has kind of been this whole long saga. And uh, we also had so Venus, and through that whole time, starting in the end of May, we've been feeling Pluto in the square to the nodes. And this is getting super highlighted right now as the sun, first Mars, just this last week, interacted with the nodes. Still, we're feeling it. And then Mercury and the sun will be also interacting with the nodes right for eclipse season, the perfect storm. So this is the intensity that we're feeling right now, is Mars in square to Pluto. It's exact today, yesterday, today, the 8th and the 9th, and will last all the way up to this solar eclipse in Libra. And so the sun or Mars first triggered the south node, and that happened, like I said, last week. But we're still feeling it. And so Mars is in a T square now, um, conjunct the south node, opposite the north node, and exactly square with Pluto, Capricorn. So it's intense because we've been feeling Pluto square the nodes, but it's not until our personal planets get involved that we really feel it. It kind of comes home to our daily life. This is the last bit of Pluto square the nodes. They've moved back into 2 degrees, which is like really in the midst. And then on the 15th of October, Pluto and the nodes will move to 3 degrees apart, still feeling that square all the way through the end of October. Then they separate. Now, part of the reason this is happening, and this is the energy of this week, so dynamic and powerful, is that on the 11th, Pluto turns direct, which means he's like heading out of Capricorn, heading out of the square with the nodes. Of course, Pluto moves very, very slow. And so we're like inching our way out. This is how it's felt too, of Venus coming out of her retrograde shadow, like, oh my goodness, is she ever going to get out of that cave? But she's back. She's came out of retrograde shadow on the 7th, just a couple of days ago, and now is at the tip of the yod. We've been feeling this for this whole last week. Venus at that point of the yod, across from Pluto and Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces, a very beautiful sextile. So that Pluto sextile Neptune it's so beautiful, following along with these planets and stars and recognizing that they're not just out there, they are beings, they're part of us, and they're speaking with us, and there's a story that's being played out. So it's very powerful that even though it's been this intense energy of Pluto square the nodes, which is can't keep going this way, right? You're against the wall. We're all coming to that place, that corner where we're forced to come into our power and take our power back. And this is individually, collectively, whole story. with Pluto, it square the nodes. And yet Pluto sextile Neptune. Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, in Pisces, in this long journey in Pisces, and Neptune representing the energies of the Piscean age. So it's the delusions and the lies, the resets, and also the mysteries and miracles and magic, Christ consciousness timeline trying to land on the earth. So the sextile relationship between these two big player planets is like so dynamic and beautiful. It's like the sextiles are creative solutions and two signs apart, 60 degrees. So it's like we can do this. We can work together. So it's the signs go masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. So that dynamic interaction between your next best friend is very powerful. And so this is saying, in order to get out of the lies and delusions and into the miracles and mysteries, uncovering the mysteries and the miracles, we must take back and claim back our power, our autonomy as human souls. And so, but also there's just this kind of that creative solution, like we can dance around. Now, it's so powerful to take that sextile, which is literally a counterpart to Pluto square the node, saying, hey, yeah, this is really intense, but look, watch, feel. Like as you break through those levels of consciousness, programming, and control, and we're all, I mean, supernova souls, I think, across the board feeling harassed on this psychic, spiritual level, over these past years. But you can break through, and it's kind of like, oh, it's a game. I can figure this out. I can see it's a game, and this is kind of where we're at. The whole game is about trying to keep us from knowing how powerful we are and who we really are. That's the whole thing. That's the only thing that keeps the game going. And now that we know our power, we already won. And this is a really intense thing. So for those supernova souls who have been feeling this oppression, this targeting, this like harassment, like it's hard to pinpoint even where it's coming from sometimes because it's so subtle. And yet, the more intense it gets, it's kind of like, wait a minute. Now, if we want to break this down, if there's forces that we know through lifetimes have been trying to keep you from knowing who you are, and keep you from your power. If we logically think through this, now this is some of the clarity that wants to come through with Mercury's journey, having completed that retrograde in his home sign of Virgo, which is about cleaning up and discriminating, thinking through things, sorting out, seeing clearly. We have to kind of examine this. If there are forces that, and I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna validate for this for you, right? It's like a really messed up situation for a lot of supernova souls being like, what in the heck did I do to deserve this, right? Um, but if there are forces that are trying to hold you down, then logically the truth of that is you are more powerful than those forces. Do you get this? Do you understand? This is the greatest trick in the story never told. So there comes a time when all that they've tried to do to us throughout all lifetimes no longer works. And that's right now where we begin to stand up. And it's interesting because a lot of the harassment type energies that people might be experiencing is like trying to scare you, trying to freak you out. And it's like all done through this massive level of surveillance that's available through implants of chips and like the technology interfacing with our phone with the DNA infiltration. Whew, it's intense. Um, but yeah, so they want you to be scared of them and what they can do to you. But it's like that whole story would never play out if they weren't scared of you, your true power. And so this is where we're at. The tables are turning. Flip, the switch is being flipped. And What happens when everything of all of the mechanisms they have at their disposal are no longer working? Is your lights coming on? And you remember now who you are and who you've been. So, this is a very powerful energy around these eclipses because eclipse season is always about things being hidden and revealed. And in this case, we are having an energy of with this Mercury Sun conjunction happening during this eclipse season. And the Mercury Sun energy is uh, this brilliant mind. It's representing the brilliant leaders that have been working behind the scenes that we don't know about. And us too, the brilliant leaders that are supernova souls, the reluctant leaders that have been beaten down over lifetimes, but now standing back up in our power, recognizing that we are the giants that they tried to eradicate. And so this is a very powerful energy of us coming into who we are. So I'm expecting that these soul group sessions for these eclipses, soul group session is a opportunity to do a group past life reading, looking at shared past life pictures. Who are we, supernova souls? What's really going on here? And these pictures really important for us to understand and validate who we are on a soul level and begin to look into our. So I hope that you can consider joining. We're going to have a solar eclipse session next Saturday, and as well as a new moon activation on Friday. So the information to sign up for those is in the information box below. So really intense times as we head into these eclipses with all of this going on. The last bit of Pluto square the nodes, Venus finally coming out of her cave, Mercury catching back up to the sun, and Mars uh, completing his time in Libra right now, starting off this whole fireworks finale um, with this intense square to the nodes because Mars and Pluto are um, our power planets. Okay, Mars is our will force, our ability to move and take action in the world. Very important energy. Mars has gotten a bad rap that he's all about aggression and anger and war, you know? That's all just to demasculate us so that we don't fight back, you know? And I know there's the toxic masculine, but at the same time, the masculine, this energy of will and power and our individual autonomy, standing up for ourselves, so important. We know this, supernova souls. And this is what the North Node in Aries is doing for us, especially with Chiron. Chiron's been hanging out for the last few years in Aries, but this North Node in Aries is giving us the power to take the action, to find that empowerment, to stand up in our right. Because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, has the picture of the I am, of our quintessential, beautiful expression of God consciousness. And the fight for that. And we're fighting for that on our cellular level with this infiltration, the modern medical disaster that we're living through. And so it's really important energy, and especially for us advanced souls, because we have a connection to our soul. And if you've made it this far, you're not giving it up now, are you? And so we're holding on for dear life to who we are, to our truth, to the spiritual truth. And we're living in that, claiming our autonomy. And this is so much about true freedom. We don't have freedom if it comes at a cost of giving away part of ourselves. And we've been negotiating with these forces lifetime after lifetime to try to make it work. And we're at the point where it's like, okay, we cannot coexist. You know, you cannot negotiate with terrorists. And we're coming to this incredibly powerful point in our human evolution. You made it here. Supernova souls, keep breathing, keep loving. No, it's a game. It's hard in those moments. You have all these tools you've developed to help other people and yourself, but there's those moments where you feel triggered into those old stories, beaten down with these energies. It's hard to even think straight, much less figure out a solution to feeling better in the moment. But the message is that as time is changing so much is happening in one day, and yet it feels like we're stuck in time, but also there is no time. And these strange time anomalies are telling us we're coming close to a big shift. We are in a big shift, and we only have the moment. We only have the vibrational energy of the moment, which is why they want to keep bringing us down through trauma and drama. And all those past lives that you've experienced are simply to be able to trigger you back into those energies, like the feminine back into that cave under the rock. Girl, you're nothing, you know? And now she sees the queen that she is, but it's quite a dramatic shift. So going back to Venus at the yod, um, Venus was at the tip of this yod when she turned retrograde at the end of July. Can you even remember back to that? It's like what's just happened, It's kind of a testament to these intense times that we're in. And the only option is to hunker down and be present in the moment with the highest vibrational frequency we can muster. And that sustained joy is the biggest threat to their lower matrix system. Coming back to this energy that they want us to be scared of them, but really they're scared of us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be under so much oppression. And, you know, um, our power is organic and a soul power. Their power can be turned off with a flick of the switch, and that's coming. So, Venus at the tip of this yod is very powerful because the yod is the finger of God saying destiny. And with everything going on, Pluto square the nodes, we're talking about how do we move forward in this evolution. And it's saying the feminine is the only way that we get out of this mess. And then put that Venus today is at 29 degrees Leo. And so still in an inconjunct relationship with Pluto at 27 degrees. They're just finishing up this yod. She's just coming out of the yod. And also having made these last few days the trine with the galactic center in Sagittarius. So it's double destiny. Like it's not, it's the feminine that gets us out of this this chapter, and it's a feminine that gets us out of the whole trap and game as well. She is our power and our destiny. And it's interesting to think about that because part of the reason and the way that we've been held down so much over lifetimes and through resets is through taking away our technology, making sure that we never get to free energy. Now, free energy is perpetual motion, which is a feminine form of electricity. We can generate this in our own body. They don't they don't want us to know, you know? They want us in their lower matrix so they can continue to feed on us. See, this is why there's such this intense grasping and such an intense energy because um, as we raise our vibration, which we can in our organic form, this is what the beautiful experience we get to have here. Then their systems of control can only exist in the lower matrix. And so when we raise our frequency, then they can know we're no longer a food source. This is the grasping and the thrashing of the multi-headed monster as it's figures out it's going down. So how do you stay in your power, stay in that light, stay in that sustained joy, and not get caught into that lower battle? And this is a lot of the energies that we've been dealing with. So Venus now out of her retrograde shadow, coming out of the yod, getting ready to meet up with Black Moon Lilith for the third and final time on the 10th. Tomorrow, very powerful day. Black Moon Lilith has already moved over into the sign of Virgo, hanging out at 0 degrees in the purification of the feminine. There's no more whore. There's no more slut. There's no more witch. She has been completely redeemed. And now she takes her throne. So it's like that split, that duality consciousness. Black Moon Lilith representing the darkest dark of the feminine, Venus representing the lightest light, because she just came out of her cave. She went deep into the underworld uh, in that retrograde in Leo to retrieve her light, her sun. What if she's the sun or a sun? What if we have two suns, whole masculine and a whole feminine, dancing with us in the beautiful dance? So this is a massive purification, and it's a 180-degree turn from that feminine, this part of ourselves that's been beaten down and been persecuted through lifetimes, and to turn around and step into that leadership, to that brilliant energy of who you really are as a soul. This leader, this brilliant mind, the sun, Mercury. It's so powerful, the messages, the way they're coming together. And so Venus and Black Moon Lilith conjunct up tomorrow. We're already feeling their conjunction over the last couple of days, and that lasts right up through the 14th, this new moon solar eclipse. So we've got Mars square Pluto, Venus and Black Moon Lilith, and not just Venus and Black Moon Lilith, but across the way from Saturn and Pisces. Saturn is at 1 degree Pisces, going to retrograde to 0 degrees on the 12th. So just right there. And it's interesting because Black Moon Lilith, um, they will have an exact opposition at 0 degrees, or just as they're switching. Black Moon Lilith moves to 1 degree on the 13th, and Saturn moves to 0 degrees on the 12th. So this intense opposition, because Saturn is the laws and the rules of our reality. Saturn represents our original, most beautiful timeline, and then how it's been absconded and reset. So control energy. And so that's the reflection in the birth chart. Saturn in the birth chart represents your true dharma path, like how you want to do what you came here to do. Very important, and yet also the obstacles to that path. And so Saturn has become Satan, or the black cube, this control energy keeping us in the lower matrix reality, also serving the resistance that we need to push us into our power. This is a really important message for supernova souls right now. When we've been talking about this necessary struggle, that if we did not have this struggle, we would not feel worthy or capable of handling our light and our power. And this is where we find the most powerful energy of the universe, is in the forgiveness of all that's been done to you, because a lot of shit's been done to you. I mean, major wrongs that you didn't deserve as a soul. And yet it's this resistance energy that's pushing us, where we're at this point where, whether it's a negative force or a positive force, it's all going towards ascension. Because the negative force is boomeranging. So everything they're trying to do to you is actually just pushing you closer into your power. When you see that power of that part of the game, when you know that you haven't quite won, but there's only so many more moves on the chess table, right? And so this is where we're at. And it's kind of saying, okay, wait a minute. I can see the whole game from here. And I can also see the glory of the win. And everything's worth it that we've had to go through. And then there's this powerful forgiveness that can come towards your oppressors. And then you won the game. Now, forgiveness in the past for us has meant rolling over and letting them just take over our world again and again. That's not the game plan anymore. This is the North Node in Aries, giving us the power to be like, yeah. Not playing by your rules anymore. And this is Saturn. So Saturn is a challenge. And it's like Venus right out of the gate. She's just getting, this is her final interaction, her conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. That she's done with her square to Uranus and her trying to Chiron and her squares with Jupiter and all of the journeys she had to go through. And now she's coming to her final pinnacle moment. And Saturn's across the way being like, oh yeah, girl. You know, you can just stand up and be the queen out of the dirty gutter of where we've kept you for so long. And so it's really, really powerful. It's like a standoff. And to have that at the same time as Mars square Pluto are power planets. So going back to that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, it always comes back around. So Mars is our lower power, our will force, the ruler of Aries. Pluto is our psychic power, power we don't understand we have, that's been hidden from us, that's been demonized, that we're scared of. It's something way out there that we don't understand. So when Mars and Pluto interact, it's like power games. And this is where we're at. If you think about this narcissist relationship, this metaphor, we've all had to experience this empath narcissist relationship. And this is what we're dealing with our controllers and our control forces. And that's where we get to that game where the narcissist, do you remember, you know, how that pattern that they ghost, once they are losing you as a source, they just go away, right? And it's like their last grab, power grab, because they will not give you closure and resolution. And of course, us as sensitive, well meaning, rational souls want to like communicate and work it out, but you cannot negotiate with these energies. And so we're at that point where, you know, the narcissist would never ghost you like that and run away if they were not scared of your power, right? And there's a point where the caged animal, when provoked enough, recognizes they can break through that cage. And then there's a power and a danger to their captor. And of course, luckily, supernova souls are not interested in punishment, retribution, and having any more, creating any more karma. Right? It's like, you know, God's going to work that out for you. I am not going to play this out. This has been part of our problem, though, not standing up because we don't want to create more karma and then we just get rolled over again and again. So this has been the journey of Mars and Libra, especially with the Sun and Pallas Athene coming together. How do we fight and win without going to battle, without going to war, without getting into that lower energy, without creating more karma? This has been our sticky situation, you know, because we've found through, explained through the Agarcasi readings that there's these two kinds of karma. There's the karma where it's like tit for tat, you know, like you did something to them and then that exact thing happens to you in another lifetime. And that's understandable. But then there's this other karma where you were oppressed and you didn't stand up for yourself. And then those same oppressors come back and do the same thing again until you say no. And so this is where we've been. This is like this, you know, the metaphor or the story of the whole Piscean age of us being like, well, okay, we were told we're the light and the light's going to get persecuted. And, you know, they did this to, you know, Yeshua, Jesus said, oh, they did it to me. They're going to do it to you too. And now you're just stuck with this situation. And um, now it's like, no, because you're still playing the game, you know? So how do we get out of karma and stand up? This has everything to do with Aries, our God-given right to our own autonomous energetic field as advanced souls. Anything that they can do to you requires the infiltration or the access to your electromagnetic field or actual real body. They don't want us to know about this body, you know? But when we claim autonomy there, all of the harassment, the infiltration, the targeting stops. And so, and we also are claiming our power in our light body and knowing we can handle it, right? So going back to understanding the bigger picture of these forces of limitation and restriction, Saturn, pushing us into coming into our God self. And kind of like we're getting to the end game. So, game over. So this is what this is all about, and it's very powerful. And so Saturn, the black moon Lilith, or Venus opposite Saturn is exact on the 11th, the same day that Pluto turns direct, and black moon Lilith opposite Saturn is on the 12th. And so it's so powerful this Black Moon Lilith moving to 1 degree, Saturn moving to 0 degrees. Now, Saturn only retrogrades back to 0 degrees Pisces. This is the message, right? It's a complete reworking, rewriting, because Saturn is the original timeline and the absconding of the timeline. And so 0 degrees Pisces is going all the way back to the beginning. Well, this ages move backwards through the signs, but is the way that we see the pattern through the journey of the Pisces experience all the way back to 0 point. Now, it brings forward a powerful energy looking at the tarot deck, the Fool card, 0. And that's equivalent to the Joker in the regular card deck, right? And so the Fool is 0 point. The Fool he just has a light knapsack on. He's not carrying a bunch of baggage. He's got his animal friend. He's totally connected to the animal and the elemental worlds, and he's just happy as can be coming to the edge of the cliff. Because he's in the oneness, he's in 0 point, he's in that union. And this is how we get through this, is to be that fool. And so powerful that Saturn will turn direct on 11/4, November 4th. And that will be, again, a big turning of the tide, because then we start rewriting the story and reclaiming the mystery and magical and miracles of the Piscean age. We can't do that unless we get out from under the lies. So we're in a massive season of disclosure, of truths coming to light that we can't even imagine. And it's intense, because it's almost like this Pluto square the nodes has been almost like this dark journey, especially with Venus retrograde. And that it's almost like a Scorpio season, and we haven't even gotten to Scorpio season, and we have eclipse season leading into Scorpio season. So uh, it's an interesting time of things coming to light, because we cannot find the truth and the magic and the miracles until we come out from under the rock of the delusions that have been keeping us down. And Venus stepping out into her light again is bringing light to the darkness. Um, So very powerful. And Venus, Black Moon, Lilith, opposite Saturn, like I said, lasts right up through this eclipse. And then Venus is like, whoa, it's a new journey for her. So then but we're feeling Mars, like I said, in square to Pluto, also leading up to this intense power tension between false power structures and the power that we have in our physical body, in our energy field, that Mars, the will force, that Aries North Node activating, uh, and the Venus, or I mean, excuse me, the South Node is being so triggered, and we haven't talked so much about that. But the South Node in Libra, Libra being this peace, harmony, justice, which we haven't found. The issue with Libra can also often be that choosing peace over autonomy, and peace that is not true based on freedom is not sustainable, and it's not peaceful for very long. That's why we have had, just like war after war after war, that we're realizing and finding out that it's been the same energies of control, the same elite families, these energies of control working through, funding both sides of every war to just keep us in conflict, and money laundering. You know, they're saying that like something like less than 20% of the money that's gone to Ukraine has actually gone to Ukraine. It's lining the pockets of the politicians. Just look at how much they're worth after being in office. And it's like, no. First of all, we're funding war, which none of us want believe in. We're so evolved beyond that, you know? And then who else, what else? Dangerous biolabs, child trafficking. What are we funding with our tax dollars? Can't go on. Cannot go on. The only way out of it is truth. And this is this disclosure that's coming. It's got to. It's uncomfortable because there's a whole energy in those regular, like, souls that haven't been on an awakening path, there's just this massive resistance to change. And this is what's kept us from being able to make the changes. It's like, no, status quo, status quo. And this is that South Node in Libra. It's like, no, 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 just keep the peace. Isn't it just better to just la, 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 pretend that doesn't exist? And it's like, oh, no, no, it exists. And it's not going anywhere. Just because we don't believe it might be true, these conspiracy theories doesn't make them go away. On the other hand, we can vibrationally set our energy outside of the psyop, but that doesn't mean denying these truths because elephant is getting too big in the room, right? It's like, um, so here we are. And so let's talk this through because the main energies, Mars just made this conjunction to the South Node, bringing all these issues up of this fight for our freedom, where we've given it away for the sake this for intermediate peace again and again and again, where we've shut our mouth, we didn't say. I mean, haven't we all been living through this? It's just so much easier to just have a conversation about the weather, right? And talk about difficult truths and just like go on the way it is. And, because it's disruptive, people get angry because this is the breakdown of the MK Ultra programming that we've all been, every single one of us, right? We think of this types of mind control programs. Oh, those poor people that had to go through that. It's like, no, we're all under mind control. And as it breaks down, it's a delicate process, because there's that rage and there's this cognitive dissonance, this resistance, this very dark, uncomfortable places in the psyche. And that we're trying, it's like this is why things are so weird and it's like a movie playing out because it's all trying to undo this programming. So that's this whole thing. And Mars square Pluto is just like, just like these forces coming up against each other. And it just can't go on the way it is anymore. We can't keep pretending that this isn't true. And yet, how do we harmonize through it into that golden age that's waiting for us? You might be getting a taste of these beautiful energies, of those very dissonant, harmful frequencies that have been trying to create a disease state, literally state of disease, like as of the place that we live in our local area network. You know, this has been the goal of these harmful frequencies. They say, oh no, it's just our 5G. It's cool. I want my fast internet. And so here we are in a disease state, the deep state disease state, But those same technologies and frequencies can be, with a flick of the switch, turned into healing frequencies. So you might be getting a sense of this, and then the detox and the breaking down of programming. But keep in mind, and you are an emitter of healing frequencies. You are a challenge to the vast array of disruptive disease state agendas. So just keep up the great work, Supernova Souls. You're so beautiful and you're so powerful. And it's so amazing and wonderful to work with you. So now Mars is finishing up his time in Libra, and it's a very powerful shift on the 13th. So Mars that's exactly the day that Mars square with Pluto well kind of begins to come off, and right before that solar eclipse, and Mars moves over into the sign of Scorpio. Mars leading the way, the first one into Scorpio. Mars is a ruler of Scorpio. So Mars is like, relieved to get out of Libra, where he's just like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. We're just going to keep the harmony. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to go to war. I'm not going to get in their trap. But now Mars and Scorpio is like, all right, game on. There's some power here, there's some energy. And especially for Scorpio is not scared of the dark. Scorpio will go into the depths. For Scorpio, it's worth it to face the darkness in order to have a deeper, more true experience of living, of connection. Scorpio, that's the power of Scorpio. And so it's like saying, it's like after that Libra, like, oh, balance, perfect harmony, da 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 da. Peace at all costs is not peace. And so now we come into facing the darkest dark that's keeping us from true peace and keeping us from in a surface experience, right? Facebook, fake book, like it's all about the outer veneer. Oh yeah, I've got this going on and I went to this place and da 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 da. And it's like underneath people are just like being getting more and more disconnected and more alone and more confused. And it's like this discrepancy just can't go on, you know? And so Scorpio says, let's get to the bottom of it, right? Like, let's dig deep. Let's find the truth. Let's set ourselves free. And so Mars moving into Scorpio is very powerful with this culmination of energies. And so now the Sun and Mercury's cruising along after getting out of retrograde shadow and cruising along in the sign of Libra, catching up to the sun. And so after that retrograde in Virgo, which is about cleaning up, Virgo and earth sign, cleaning up the earth, cleaning up our mind, trying to understand, trying to come to clarity, sort out what's really going on, break down our mind, MK Ultra mind control. And now catching up with the sun, it's that brilliant mind. It's an activation because of that retrograde of these the sun and Mercury coming back together of these leaders, the leaders of peace, but who won't back down from the authoritarian controls. And so it's an activation of these very brilliant, powerful souls that have been kind of behind the curtain, behind um, backstage, and the sleepers awakening of these powerful forces of dynamic leadership who've been leaders, enlightened leaders throughout our whole evolution, waiting to step forward. And is that you, supernova soul? So now Mercury and Sun, the Mercury won't catch up to the Sun until the 21st of October. Very powerful energy there because they'll be in exact square with Pluto. So talk about brilliancy going up against the powers of control. Because Pluto and Capricorn is like external control over our power. So, but before they do that, they're both going to oppose Chiron in Aries and come up to the south node and trigger that P square with the nodes right in between the two eclipses. Okay, so we've got the new moon solar eclipse on the 14th, and then we've got the full moon eclipse on October 28th. So it's like right between those eclipses. On the 21st, again, that powerful number of 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, let's go. And the power of creation, of two wholes creating another, something new, right? Our new world. And so that's a very powerful energy. And we're already feeling the sun come up to his opposition with Chiron. And that happens on the 11th, the same day that Pluto turns direct. And the same day that Venus is opposite Saturn. So it's like it's all coming to a head. And just in time for the eclipse season. So the sun we're already feeling as of yesterday, the sun opposite Chiron. Who do we think we are in Libra? We're peace, we're harmony, we're looking for that perfect balance, we're looking for solutions that are non-violent and going back into balance through justice. And so Chiron is though these wounds in Aries, deep wounds over where we've given our power away. And so it's just like, yeah, what's the cost of peace? And how do we get true justice without war? And then Mercury comes up to that Chiron opposition on the 15th, the day after the eclipse. So Sun opposite Chiron just before the eclipse, Mercury opposite Chiron just after. And it's like, okay, this eclipse is powerful. This is happening at 21 degrees, 8 minutes of Libra. That's only 3 degrees away, less than 3 degrees away from where the nodes are. So that's why this eclipse is so powerful. That it's not a total eclipse, it's an annular eclipse, meaning that it does fully cover just because of the distance of the sun and the moon and the earth. There's a ring of fire around this eclipse rather than the diamond of just like where it completely goes away. So that is visible in a lot of the US, or in a swath through the southwest US. This eclipse, this annular eclipse, ring of fire. And that's kind of like with our North Node in Aries and Chiron in Aries, these Chiron oppositions of Mercury and the Sun, brilliant mind trying to come back into its autonomous power. Step into the fire and let it burn away all of the stories, all of the falseness, all of the lower ego personality constructs they've trapped us in, all the trauma stories, lifetime after lifetime. It's all getting burned away with this eclipse at 21 degrees Libra. Time for the beautiful balance between our masculine and our feminine coming back in perfect harmony. Finally, we can't have that without justice. We must have justice. We cannot keep going with the criminals and the crooks getting away with this nightmare. And here we are. It's all culminating right now. There is going to be a fallout over the next 3 months and 2 years. But this is the crux. This is the shift. This is the change right here, right now. Do not miss it. You are on the edge. You are living through the most amazing time of history. So when these forces try to pull you back down, remember this. Remember that bigger picture, that you are the hero, brilliant, brilliant mind on the hero's journey, about to break free to who you really are. And simply what we're doing is claiming back what's already ours. It was ours all along. And recognizing, remembering that these forces are working against us to push us into that corner, to know we can handle our power, to know we're worth it, to know it's ours, because all these stories of persecution have only been about that. Say, well, no, that's yours. You can't handle it. We better keep it for you. And we made contracts to agree to this. Yeah, time to reevaluate those contracts. This will probably be an opportunity coming up in the activation and soul group sessions for these eclipse seasons, really facing down those false authority contracts where we recognize, wait a minute, you wouldn't have gone through all of this to hold us down if we didn't have some power. You know, now that we know, we already win. So it's about being ready for when, for that moment, cleaning up, clearing out, claiming that bliss as much as we can, those opening up those channels of our God-given right to joy, that sustained joy, the vision, the forgiveness, the love is poison to them. And so keep up the great work. Now, so we talked about Mercury and the Sun finally coming together on the 21st and exact square with Pluto at 27 degrees. Pluto direct, brilliant minds. And so it's coming up against the false energy of control and who really has the power. So, wow, incredibly intense and powerful energies. So I hope that you can be a part of this uh, solar eclipse soul group session on Saturday, the new moon activation on Friday. Information to sign up for that below. Thank you so much for being a part of the soul tribe. You're being a part, bringing your energy, just being with these concepts and ideas is such a support for all of us. But thank you also for your bringing your offering for the soul tribe, or there's also a link to donate if you'd like to bring your energy that way, or just showing up at these events, being present, being with these energies. It means so much to me and for our whole tribe. You're leading the way. We are on cutting edge, and it's just profound and amazing what we're doing together, Supernova Souls. So thank you for being here and for going through all you've gone through. You are a rock star, and it's time for the true stars to rise, not that Hollywood shit, you know? And so here we are, these sacred moments in time. Don't miss this moment. And remember, you already won. Thank you so much for being with me. I look forward to seeing you soon at these activation soul group sessions, the next update. Till then, I'm Adrienne Reese. Namaste.